All right, today I'm going to talk about having some hobbies for when you're outside of work and everything. So, for me, for instance, working a full time job like Monday through Friday, what I do is usually end up Saturday is usually the catch up day for me for all the errands and stuff that I kind of put off the during the week, stuff like laundry and cleaning and cooking and stuff like that. But with hobbies and stuff, what I use the rest of the weekend for is once I get done all this stuff, running errands and catching up on end of week stuff that I kind of pushed aside for during the week from working full time and everything. And outside of doing all my workouts and practicing yoga and meditation and basically getting into the seven pillars like I talked before. What I do is with hobbies that's pretty much what you could say is the spice of life and everything. It gives you things that you stuff that you find interested in and everything that you can use your free time to kind of make life more enjoyable and everything. It could be anything. You could be into board games Monopoly, Risk, Life, Clue, or a board game that I played when I was a kid with the family was called Hero Quest, and it's still out there. And they've actually you can get the stuff on Amazon, or you could be into a lot of the other stuff that I'm into or not. You could quite possibly be into model airplanes, maybe making the good old model ships in a glass bottle, or something that a hobby, a craft hobby, or maybe getting into woodworking or metalsmithing is something that you could do on a Sunday to kind of do for fun or whatever. Some of the stuff that I'm into is pretty much the classic nerd stuff and everything. Growing up, I played games like Dungeons and Dragons, and I was into things like Star Wars and all your typical fandoms. With one of the books that I read when I was growing up was Lord of the Rings, and of course that has become a big fandom as well. And especially with the new Amazon's Ring of Power series that's out, and I have yet to watch that. So I probably going to try and find some time to get into that as well, because that's more based on when Tolkien's other books, the Silmarillion, which the Peter Jackson movies that came out was obviously the first ones was based on the Lord of the Rings book, the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, and the Return of King, and then they later released the Hobbit, and I've seen all six movies, and being a big nerd fan and everything, I enjoyed that, and with board games they actually did make a Risk game based off that and everything. So yeah, stuff I get into personally on Sundays is I get into playing Final Fantasy 14 for 2 or 3 hours or whatever. And I grew up with the original Nintendo system, where the first Final Fantasy game came out, and I've pretty much played all of the ones in the original series, numbered 1 through 15, and I'm pretty sure number 16 should be coming out soon. I think I saw a blurb about that and everything. So that could be you could get that could be something that you could get into, online role playing games like Final Fantasy 14, or you could World of Warcraft is the other big one that's out right now that I haven't played in probably 10-15 years or so. So I don't know where that stands and everything, but other stuff you could get into for hobbies would be maybe I mentioned before with reading. You could get into reading about pretty much just about any topic, whether it's psychology or any of the mythologies, Nordic mythology, Christian mythology, or whatever. You could also being a big Star Wars fan too. You could get into all the movies, and of course before they released the sequels, they released a ton of books that kind of continued the story of the characters after Return of the Jedi, and it goes the books are pretty much what are now considered the legend versus the sequels, which are considered canon. And the legend books, like the pretty much start like with the book of Truce at Bakura, which starts pretty much right after Return of the Jedi, and it go they have like a number of series that go all the way to like 35 years after the original movies. So you could get into that. You could get into like role playing games like Dungeons and Dragons, like which is like big and everything. Of course, they have like a bunch of other role playing games that are out there. Like some of the ones that I came across was like there's this one called Trinity, which was set in the early 22nd century, like in the year 2120, and it's like all about like people having psionic abilities and everything. So like with hobbies, there's like a bunch of other things and everything. So like and stuff that like I'm recently like looking to get back into is like the Dungeons and Dragons, and like I started playing that way back when I was a kid and everything, and like I'm probably going to date myself with saying that I first got into like second edition, and like in near the tail end of it, and then I can remember when third edition came out. And then, of course, like they released 3.5, and of course now they have like a fourth edition, and fifth edition is out now. And like role playing games like that is like a big industry too. So like they do tend to make like role playing games on like TV series and movies and stuff like that. Like one of the TV shows that I watched that was that ran from 1999 to 2002 was Farscape, and they made a role-playing game based on that using the D20 system that Dungeons and Dragons used. So like with stuff like that, you could maybe get into like and like find a good thing is like finding like a community, and like which helps like in regards to like a recovery, because like you can find people that aren't into using drugs and or alcohol, and get into something that could help like with the fourth point, to live in a balanced life. So you can kind of pursue like stuff outside, so it could also help with like the third point of managing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, like so you can have like something you look forward to like every week. Whether it's again together, like I said, with a bunch of people playing like a role playing game, or like you go online and like I said, like what I do is like play Final Fantasy 14, or you, like I mentioned before, you could get into like modeling ships or like airplanes and stuff like that. So like like with hobbies and everything, you want to try to find something that kind of like interests you, so that way like I said, you can have something that you can look forward to during the weekend that like you enjoy, like outside of like work, and like doing what I do, like with the 7 pillars, taking care of my physical and mental health, and like it'll give you kind of like a break from like the humdrum of like daily life and everything. And like another big thing that like growing up, like I was into comic books and everything, so like you could get into card games, and like one of the card games I played when I was a kid was called Overpower. It was like a card game based on the Marvel characters, and like you had like each character would have like different stats, and like you'd use a bunch of like different cards to like in a sense play like a different type of card game other than like you would like yeah, like with traditional cards like with solitaire or golf or something. But like I said, with hobbies, it's like trying to find something like that you're interested into, that like that you can use like outside of work to kind of like help with the maintaining like a balanced life, and like like I said, give you something to look forward to during the weekend and everything, after you get done like all like the usual like going to work, going to the gym, like taking care of your laundry and cooking and doing all your cleaning and stuff like that. So like you can actually add stuff to actually help elevate the enjoyment out of life and everything. So like I said, a lot of things that I'm into are pretty much like the nerddoms, like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, like Marvel comics, and of course like I try to go and see like all the Marvel movies is like when I can. And like this last week I just went and saw Black Panther, so that could be like something else that you're into, or you could be into like the DC comics, like with Superman, Batman, or whatever. So like I'll reiterate is trying to find something, some type of hobby that you enjoy, like so that way, like outside of like the normal day to day routine, you find something that you can actually like help and make life a little bit more enjoyable.